My wife.
That's my wife. The words didn't sound like a line from a movie. They sounded like a man's throat closing. The Bodycam timestamp flickered in the corner of the frame. 1:58:41. White digits over a night scene washed in patrol lights. Rain streaked across the lens. A ditch line and a thin strip of gravel shoulder cut through the darkness. Officer Caleb Harlan stood in the beam of his own headlights, flashlight hanging useless at his side. His partner, Officer Lina Patel, had her hand half raised, like she didn't know whether to steady him or draw her weapon. In front of them, just beyond the cruiser's hood, a woman stood barefoot on wet asphalt. She was wearing a light sweater soaked through, hair stuck to her cheeks. Her arms hung loose, palms open, and even in the harsh strobe of red and blue, the resemblance was undeniable. Caleb's wife, Lina Harlan. Lina, who had died 5 years ago. Lina, whose funeral Caleb had stood through like a man underwater. Lina, whose grave Caleb had visited on anniversaries he pretended didn't matter. Lina's voice came out sharp. "Caleb, who is that?" Caleb didn't answer at first. He couldn't, because the woman lifted her chin slightly, looked straight at him, and smiled with a tired kind of familiarity. "Hi, Cal," she said. The Bodycam audio caught the way Caleb inhaled, fast, involuntary. Not fear, not anger, recognition. Behind them, dispatch crackled through the open radio channel. "Unit 5, confirm status. You've been stationary for 30 seconds. Lina pressed her mic with a trembling thumb. "Stand by," she said. Caleb's eyes didn't leave the woman. His voice came out broken. "You're—" Lina's smile faded. "I know," she said quietly. "I'm not supposed to be here." And that was the moment the night stopped being a traffic stop and turned into a disaster with no safe ending. Because if Caleb treated her like a threat, and she was real, he'd be the cop who pulled a gun on his own wife. If he treated her like a miracle and she was bait, he'd be the cop who walked into a trap on camera. And if she really was dead, if she was a ghost, then no report in the world could protect him. The Bodycam kept recording, every second, every tremor, every word, and Lina, barefoot in the rain, took one slow step closer. 2 hours earlier, the night had been ordinary in the way grief always tries to make itself ordinary. Caleb Harlan had been back on patrol for 6 months. He'd spent the first year after Lina's death on administrative duties, then training, then desk work, the department quietly giving him time to recover. But recovery is a word people use when they don't want to say, learn to live with the whole. Caleb was 37. He looked older in the eyes. Lina Patel was 31, newer to the department, sharp and steady, the kind of partner supervisors liked because she didn't escalate with ego. They were assigned to the north end. Rural roads, scattered houses, long stretches where you could drive 5 miles and see nothing but trees and mailboxes. At 11:46 p.m., dispatch sent them to a deer strike. At 12:22 a.m., they handled a noise complaint that turned out to be teenagers in a garage. At 1:15 a.m., they were running radar on County Route 18 when the call came in. "Unit 5, dispatch said. Be advised, multiple calls about a woman walking in the roadway near mile marker 9. Caller reports she's barefoot, appears disoriented, no vehicle seen." Lina glanced at Caleb. "Barefoot?" she asked. Caleb nodded, eyes still on the road. "Copy," he said into the mic. "We're 2 minutes out." Lina shifted in her seat. "You okay?" she asked him, casual. Caleb's jaw tightened. "Yeah," he said. "Why?" Lina shrugged. "Just late-night calls like that," she said. "People in the road. Sometimes it's drugs. Sometimes it's dementia. Sometimes it's a tragedy, Caleb finished. Rena nodded. Sometimes, she said. Caleb didn't say what he was thinking, because County Route 18 was where Lina had died. Not exactly this mile marker, but this road, this stretch of darkness, this river ditch and tree line, the same kind of wet cold. He hadn't chosen this assignment. But the night had. They rounded a bend and saw her, a figure in the headlights, standing on the center line. Barefoot. Still. Caleb slowed. Rena's hand moved toward the light bar. Caleb didn't stop her. The cruiser's lights flared, painting the trees. The figure didn't flinch. She turned her head slowly toward them, and Caleb's stomach dropped, because the silhouette wasn't just a woman. It was the exact slope of shoulders he had held in hospital waiting rooms, the exact posture he'd seen at the kitchen sink. He felt his mouth open without permission. "That's my wife." Rena's first instinct was procedure. She stepped out of the cruiser, flashlight up, voice firm. "Ma'am," she called, "step to the shoulder. Keep your hands visible." The woman didn't move at first. She stared at Caleb. Her eyes were bright in the strobe, not glassy, not vacant, bright like someone holding back tears. Caleb stepped out too, slower. His boots hit wet gravel. The cold air slapped his face. His Bodycam captured his breathing. Uneven. Human. Rena angled slightly free between Caleb and the woman, not blocking him, but not letting him be alone. "Caleb," she whispered, "tell me what you mean." Caleb's voice came out thin. "Her name is Lina," he said. "My wife. She died." Rena's eyes widened. "Okay," she said. "Careful. Okay. Could be someone who looks like her." Caleb shook his head. "No," he whispered. The woman spoke. "Rena," she said. Rena froze. Caleb's head snapped. Rena's throat tightened. "How do you know my name?" she demanded. The woman's gaze didn't leave Caleb. "I'm sorry," she said softly. "I didn't mean to involve her." Caleb took a step forward. "Lina," he said. The woman flinched at the name, like it hurt. "Don't," she whispered. Caleb stopped. He looked at her feet, bare, red from cold. Real. He looked at her sweater, soaked, heavy. Real. A ghost wouldn't drip rainwater. A ghost wouldn't have mud on her ankles. Rena's voice went hard. "Mom," she said, "I need you to tell me your name." The woman's jaw trembled. Then she said, "Lina Harlan." Rena's stomach dropped. Caleb felt like the world tilted. Dispatch crackled again. "Unit 5, confirm status." Rena pressed her mic. "Stand by," she repeated. Her eyes stayed on the woman. "Lina," Rena said slowly, "do you have identification?" Lina's lips parted. "No," she said. "They took it!" Caleb's voice snapped. "Who took it?" Lina's eyes flicked to the tree line. "Not here," she whispered. Rena caught that. "What do you mean, not here?" Lina's voice dropped. "They're listening," she said. Caleb's pulse spiked. "They?" he repeated. Lina looked at him, and for a moment the familiarity broke through. "The people who helped you bury me," she whispered. Caleb felt something cold spread through his ribs. Rena's expression sharpened. "Okay," she said. "We're going to take a step back. We're going to get you warm, get you safe, and figure this out." Lina shook her head. "No," she said quickly. "Don't take me in." Rena's eyes narrowed. "Why not?" Lina swallowed. "Because the building has cameras," she said. "And if they see me, they'll erase me again." Caleb stared. Erase. That word didn't belong to grief. It belonged to conspiracy. Rena's voice stayed calm. "Lina," she said, "I need you to explain. Who are you afraid of?" Lina's eyes shone. "Your chief," she whispered. Caleb felt his stomach drop. Rena's head snapped. "Our chief?" she repeated. Lina nodded once. Caleb's mind flashed back 5 years. A crash report, a quick conclusion, an apology from the department, a closed casket. He remembered thinking it was too clean. He'd blamed himself for the thought, like suspicion was disrespect. Now Lina stood in front of him, alive enough to tremble, and she had just placed a badge at the center of the nightmare. They moved off the road. Lina guided Caleb to keep distance while she positioned the cruiser to block traffic. She called for a supervisor, phrasing it carefully. "Possible missing person," she told dispatch. "Need sergeant. Urgent." She didn't say, "My partner's dead wife is standing in front of us," because saying it out loud would make it real in a way that could destroy them. Caleb took off his jacket. He held it out. Lina hesitated. Then she stepped closer and took it. Her hands were cold, real. She pulled the jacket around her shoulders, and the smell hit Caleb. Not perfume, not a ghostly memory. The smell of rain and cheap soap and something metallic, like a hospital room. Caleb's voice broke. "Where have you been?" he whispered. Lina's eyes flicked away. "Not dead," she said. Lina's gaze stayed sharp. "You were declared deceased," she said. "We have records, a death certificate." Lina nodded. "I know," she said. "They needed it." Caleb's jaw clenched. "Who?" he demanded. Lina's voice went softer. "The men who came to the hospital," she said. "The men who told you it was better if you didn't see me." Caleb froze. The hospital. He remembered the night, the call, the crash, the waiting room, a man in a suit speaking quietly with the attending doctor. Then, the doctor telling Caleb there had been severe trauma. Closed casket recommended. Caleb had accepted it like a man accepting punishment. He'd never questioned it, because questioning meant hope, and hope meant pain. Lina's voice was measured. "Lina," she said, "what happened to you?" Lina swallowed. "I didn't die in that crash," she said. Caleb felt his lungs fail. "What?" Lina's eyes filled. "They pulled me out," she whispered. "They took me before the ambulance even moved." Lina's face went still. "That's," she started. "Impossible," Caleb finished, voice shaking. Lina nodded. "I know," she said. "That's why it worked." 5 years ago, the official story was simple. A late-night crash on County Route 18. A sedan hydroplaned, hit the ditch, rolled. Driver deceased at scene. No foul play. Caleb had been off duty that night, coming home from a double shift. Lina had gone out to pick up medicine. He'd called her. No answer. Then the call came from dispatch. He'd driven to the scene like a man racing toward an ending. He'd been stopped at the perimeter by a supervisor. "Caleb, you can't," the supervisor had said. Caleb remembered the words, remembered the way the supervisor's hand tightened on his arm. Not comforting, containing. He'd been taken to the hospital. Instead, he'd been kept in a private room. He'd been told to wait. Then the doctor came, then the suit, then the conclusion. Caleb remembered seeing a body bag roll past in the distance. He'd assumed. Now Lina's voice stitched new meaning into the old memory. "That body wasn't me," she whispered. Lina exhaled slowly. "Then who was it?" she asked. Lina's gaze dropped. "I don't know," she said. "I never saw her face." Caleb's hands trembled. Someone else. A second victim. A death used as a cover. Lina's voice hardened. "Lina, you're saying—" "You were kidnapped," she said. Lina nodded. "I was taken," she whispered. "And I was kept." Caleb's throat tightened. "Where?" Lina's eyes flicked to the trees again. "Close," she said. "Closer than you think." Sergeant Dempsey arrived at 2:12 a.m. His cruiser rolled up slow, lights off until the last second. He stepped out, rain beading on his bald head, eyes narrowing at the scene. "What's going on?" he demanded. Lina stepped to meet him. "Serge," she said, low voice. We have a female, no ID, claims to be Lina Harlan, Caleb's wife. Dempsey stared. Caleb watched his face change. Not surprise, not disbelief. Something else, like a man recognizing a problem. Dempsey's eyes flicked to Lina, then to Caleb. Caleb, Dempsey said, voice careful. You need to step back. Caleb's stomach sank. Why? He asked. Dempsey's jaw tightened. Because you're compromised, he said. Compromised. The word hit, like a slap. Rena's eyes hardened. He's human, she snapped. He's reacting. Dempsey held up a hand. I'm not accusing him, he said. I'm protecting the scene. Caleb's voice went raw. Protecting who? He demanded. Her or the department? Dempsey's expression tightened. Caleb, he warned. Lina spoke softly. He's going to call the chief, she said. Dempsey froze. Rena looked at him. Sergeant, she said, are you calling the chief? Dempsey's eyes flicked away. It's protocol, he said. Lina's voice shook. Don't, she whispered. Please. Caleb stared at Dempsey. You knew, Caleb said. It wasn't a question. Dempsey's mouth tightened. I know nothing, he said, but the denial was too fast, too practiced. Rena stepped closer. Sergeant, she said quietly, I'm asking you as your officer, did you know something about Lina's case? Dempsey stared at her. His eyes were tired. Then he said, low, not here. Lina's shoulders sagged. That's what I said, she whispered. Caleb's blood ran cold, because not here meant one thing. Someone was listening, and if someone was listening, then Lina's appearance wasn't a miracle. It was an escape, and escapes don't stay quiet. They moved, not to the station, not yet. Rena suggested a location without cameras, a volunteer fire hall down the road, closed at night but with heat and space. Dempsey resisted. We should bring her in, he insisted. Lina shook her head fast. They'll take me, she whispered. Caleb's voice sharpened. Who? Lina looked at him. The same people who told you to let me go, she said. Caleb felt anger bloom. He remembered the suit, the doctor, the closed casket. He'd thought it was kindness. Now it sounded like control. Rena made a decision. We're going to the fire hall, she said. Dempsey's eyes narrowed. That's not your call, he said. Rena's voice stayed steady. It is if it keeps a witness alive, she replied. Caleb stared at her. Witness, not ghost, not miracle. Witness. The word grounded the night. They loaded into the cruisers. Lina sat in the back of Unit 5, not cuffed, but contained. Caleb drove, Rena followed, Dempsey trailed. 3 vehicles on an empty road, rain, trees, and a secret that was starting to breathe. At the fire hall, they got Lina warm, coffee, a blanket, dry socks from a lost and found bin. Lina's hands shook as she held the cup. Caleb sat across from her, eyes locked. Rena stood near the door, watching Dempsey, who paced like a man wrestling with a decision. Caleb leaned forward. Tell me everything, he said. Lina swallowed. They took me to a place, she said. A house with no neighbors, a basement with a lock. Caleb's throat tightened. Why? Lina's eyes flicked to Rena. Because I saw something, she said. Rena's posture tightened. What did you see? Lina hesitated. Then she said, a transaction. Caleb frowned. A transaction? Lina nodded. A car pulled behind the clinic, she whispered. A man in a uniform handed an envelope to a man in a suit. Rena's eyes sharpened. A uniform, she repeated. Police? Lina nodded. I saw the badge, she said. I saw the name. I didn't know him then, but I know him now. Caleb felt cold. Who? He asked. Lina's lips parted. Then she said the name that made Dempsey stop pacing. Chief Arden, she whispered. Rena froze. Dempsey's face drained. Caleb felt the room tilt. Chief Arden, the man who had attended their wedding, the man who had shaken Caleb's hand at Lina's funeral, the man who had told Caleb, "We'll take care of you." Caleb's voice broke. "You're lying," he whispered. Lina's eyes filled. "I wish I was," she said. Dempsey's hands trembled. Rena's gaze snapped to him. "You knew," she said. Dempsey swallowed. "I knew there were rumors," he said. "I knew there were things that didn't add up." Caleb's voice went hard. "And you let me bury her," he said. Dempsey flinched. "You didn't bury her," he whispered. "You buried what they told you." The sentence hung in the fire hall like smoke, and in that smoke, Caleb understood the worst truth. He hadn't just lost Lina. He'd been managed, kept quiet, kept grieving, kept obedient. The major twist came not from Lina's story, but from the evidence she carried. Under her sweater, taped to her skin, was a small plastic bag. Inside the bag, a flash drive. She pulled it out with shaking hands. "They kept records," she whispered. "They thought I'd never get out." Rena stared. "What's on it?" she asked. Lina swallowed. "Video," she said. "Names, dates. The night of the crash." Caleb's throat tightened. "You have proof?" he whispered. Lina nodded. "It's why I'm alive," she said. "They wanted leverage. They wanted insurance." Rena took the drive carefully like it was fragile. "We can't plug this into a department computer," she said. Dempsey nodded. "They'll trace it," he murmured. Caleb's pulse hammered. "Then what do we do?" he demanded. Rena's eyes were hard. "We go outside," she said. "State, FBI, someone beyond Arden." Dempsey looked sick. "That will burn everything," he said. Rena didn't blink. "Good," she replied. Caleb stared at Lina. "You came back for this," he whispered. Lina's eyes filled. "I came back because I couldn't stay dead," she said. "And because you deserve to know you weren't crazy." Caleb's jaw clenched. "And because," Lina added softly, "someone else died so I could." Caleb's stomach twisted. The unknown body, the closed casket, the case that had been too clean. He felt grief become something sharper, a responsibility. The fallout began before sunrise, because secrets don't wait politely. At 3:41 a.m., Caleb's phone buzzed, an unknown number. He stared. Lina's face drained. "Don't answer," she whispered. Caleb didn't. The phone buzzed again, and again. Then Dempsey's radio crackled. "Sergeant Dempsey," dispatch said. "Chief Arden requests immediate contact." Dempsey's face went grey. Rena's jaw tightened. "They already know," she whispered. Caleb's blood ran cold. Lina's hands trembled. "They found the gap," she whispered. "They always do." Rena moved fast. "Okay," she said. "We leave. Now. We don't go back to the station. We go straight to county, and from there we go to state." Dempsey hesitated. "That's insubordination," he said. Rena's eyes hardened. "It's survival," she oiti replied. Caleb looked at Lina. "You trust me?" he asked. Lina's eyes softened. "I don't have anyone else," she said. That sentence hit Caleb harder than any accusation, because it was true. He was the only person she could risk, and the system that had once been his identity was now the thing hunting them. They left in convoy. Unit 5, Rena's cruiser, Dempsey behind, rain thinning to mist, empty roads, but not empty presence, because halfway to county, headlights appeared behind them. Not emergency lights, just headlights. A dark SUV. Following, keeping distance. Caleb's stomach tightened. Rena's voice came over the radio. "Do you see that tail?" Caleb swallowed. "Yeah," he said. Dempsey's voice was low. "That's unmarked," he said. "That's ours." Caleb's grip tightened. Our unmarked, he repeated, meaning Arden wasn't calling to check on them. He was sending a cleanup crew. Lina's voice shook from Ititam, the back seat. They're going to take me, she whispered. Caleb felt rage rise. Not again, he said. Rena's voice snapped. Next exit, she said. We lose them. Caleb followed. He took the exit onto a service road, then another turn, then another. Rena led them toward an old quarry route, unpaved, rough, but passable. The dark SUV hesitated at the turn. Its headlights slowed. It didn't follow, not because it couldn't, because it didn't want to be seen on that road. Rena's voice came through tight. They don't want mud on their tires, she said. Caleb exhaled, and in that exhale he understood something. Arden's power wasn't supernatural. It was bureaucratic. It was reputation. It was clean hands, and clean hands hate messy roads. At County, Rena didn't go to the front desk. She went to a side entrance. A contact she trusted, a county investigator named Felix Monroe, met them with a hard face. Rena handed him the IDU flash drive. This needs to go up, she said. Now. Monroe's eyes narrowed. What is this? Rena's voice was flat. A dead woman, she said, and the people who made her dead on paper. Monroe looked at Lina. He went still. You're... he started. Lina's voice was quiet. Lina, she said. Monroe swallowed. Okay, he said. Okay, we're doing this. He led them inside, and in that moment, Caleb felt the world shift again. Not into horror, into consequences, because bringing this to County meant one thing. There would be arrests, there would be headlines, there would be people in suits explaining why they didn't see it, and there would be an officer named Caleb Harlan, whose grief would be dissected on television. The ending wasn't clean. It never is. State agents arrived. They secured the flash drive. They interviewed Lina. They separated Caleb from the statement he wanted to give and made him wait in a room with no windows. Chief Arden was placed on administrative leave by noon. By evening, the news vans arrived. By the second day, the town split. Some people called Lina a liar. Some called her a miracle. Some called the department corrupt. And some called Caleb unstable. Because when reality is ugly, people look for the easiest way to deny it. The case expanded. The unidentified body from 5 years ago was exhumed. DNA tests started. Records were reopened. Deposit boxes were subpoenaed. And piece by piece, the too clean story came apart. It turned out Lina hadn't been taken at random. She had stumbled onto a network, local corruption tied to clinics, contracts, and hush money. She had seen an envelope change hands. She had recognized a uniform, and she had become a problem. The crash wasn't an accident. It was a cover. The death certificate wasn't a document. It was a weapon. And the grave Caleb had visited wasn't closure. It was a warning. The end, Caleb didn't get his old life back. He got something harder. The truth. He learned that love doesn't protect you from systems. It doesn't protect you from people who know how to make paperwork swallow a person. But love can do one thing. It can make you refuse to accept the story you're handed. 5 years ago, Caleb had buried the version of Lina the department gave him. That night, on a wet rural road, under strobing lights, he saw the real Lina step out of the dark. Not a ghost, a survivor, a witness, a woman who'd been erased on paper and kept alive in secret. And when Caleb said, "That's my wife," it wasn't just recognition, it was an accusation. Because someone, somewhere, had known exactly where Lina was, and had let Caleb grieve anyway. The Bodycam captured it all. A man's voice breaking, a woman barefoot in the rain, a department's clean story beginning to collapse, and the final truth that landed like a verdict. The scariest. Ghosts aren't the ones that haunt roads. They're the ones the system creates. People made invisible, made dead on paper, made convenient. And once one of those ghosts walks back into the light and says your name, you can't bury the truth again.